Bonjour!
Bonjour everyone, Pantoufleee here today for a new review about a tank I never thought I would say that I like it, aka the Challenger. This tank, this tier 7 tank destroyer from the British tech tree, had been buffed during the 7.5 update, and it had been overstepped by pretty much every single YouTuber, and it's actually a subscriber that contacted me through Discord saying, you gotta try the Challenger nowadays because in the current meta, this tank is insane. Poor boy, was he right. Let me explain to you why. There are two things that are making the Challenger to me a great tank, and as you can see I enriched it and I truly don't regret it. The first thing is its gun. Back in the days it had 250 alpha damage, nowadays 300, and trust me, that's a huge game changer knowing that this is one of the fastest reloading tanks at tier 7, which will allow you to have nearly 2.7k DPM, which is one of the greatest DPM for a tier 10 tank destroyer. The aiming time is not the best, 4 seconds. You can of course downgrade it by simply trying to use the right equipments, but I would rather go for something that allows me to get less gun dispersion. That's why I have 0.29 at the moment. For the reload time, as I told you, 6.8 seconds for 300 alpha damage. This is huge. This is huge, and if you add on top of that, the fact that this tank is a tank destroyer and therefore doesn't have any lack of penetration, you end up with one of the greatest guns at tier 7. You also have 10 degrees of gun depression, which will allow you to be extremely flexible on hilly terrains, etc. And that's just insane. That's the first thing. The gun is lovely. One thing to add on top of that, you have a fully traversable turret. That's noticeable, so I wanted to tell you that. But no, the second thing that makes this tank extremely good in my opinion is probably its engine. Because with this tank you will go around 50 kilometers per hour most of the time, which means if you go on the wrong side, you can relocate. If you want to play like a medium tank, you can play like a medium tank. You can support pretty much everywhere on the map. If you want to go with the heavies, you can. If you want to go to the traditional camping position for tank destroyers, you can. If you want to rush with your mediums, you can as well. The only problem or downside, this tank has no armor at all. People will penetrate you with HE, so be extremely careful. Every shot you're gonna take is gonna be a penetrating one. Be really careful about that. Now, how am I equipping my tank? First, I go for the gun rammer because, as I told you, you don't struggle penetrating your targets, so you don't need to increase your penetration. After, I like to go with enhanced gun lane drive to reduce a little bit my aiming speed. And finally, the refined gun, because as I told you, I would rather have some more gun dispersion, simply over the fact that most of the time when I shoot with this tank, I'm not moving. After, I go for the defense system because, trust me, you're not gonna ram anybody. Improved assembly because, as I told you, you don't have any hit points, so you don't need to enhance your armor, you just need to have more HP. After, toolbox because enhanced track is useless on this tank. Improved optics because I don't like to camp. You could go for the camonet, but as I don't camp, I would rather go for the improved optics to have an effective equipment to use. After, I go for the engine accelerator because, as I told you, the mobility is insane. And finally, the high-end consumable because with 6.8 seconds of reload, you would rather be able to use your adrenaline for a longer period of time. Now for the provision, as you can see on this tank, I'm using Spall liner, and trust me, it's extremely important for you to use that simply because most of the time people know that the Challenger is not really armored, so they will try HE. By playing with this, you will allow yourself, when you take an HE shot, it's only gonna do as much damage as a traditional AP shot, which is good and will allow you to sustain more on the battlefield. Now let's jump into the replay and therefore the playstyle. Concerning the map, we don't have the best map, let's be honest. For a tank destroyer, being on Immelsdorf is definitely not something you would be proud of, simply because this map is not really suitable for our Challenger. What we need to do with this tank is taking some distance. Yes, you can use your mobility, but always try to play from the distance. You don't have the armor to actually be able to push through. So, at least the cool thing about that first fucked up move that I did, because I did not check check the map. As you can see, I'm lonely on my side. There is nobody to actually help me. So instead of staying there completely alone, I decided to come back to my team. And that's where the 50 kilometers per hour are quite useful. As I told you, with the mobility you have, you can relocate quite easily. We relocated in less than 10 seconds. Of course, I wanted to try to push forward and go with my team here, but I decided not to, simply because M6 Annihilator were waiting for me. So if I did that, knowing that I don't have armor, I would have been probably crushed. So instead of that, I'm trying to use my tank from an all-down position. And what you want to do with this tank is using your gun depression, and not try to take shots. You are not here to take shots. You go around the corner, you poke your shot, you go back to a safe position, you wait for your reload, and you try it again. And you're gonna see something really funny about this tank in this game. I don't know why, but I managed to put on fire pretty much everybody. Look at this. The M6 fire, boom, see ya, thanks for coming. Thanks to our amazing DPM, we managed to nearly take out the whole M6 by ourselves, which is not something you can do with all the tanks. Now we're still using our mobility because, as you all know, I don't like to play like the camping traditional playstyle with Tank Destroyer. So instead, we're gonna try to go for a shot on the T-28 Defender. I was actually aiming for the track because I know it doesn't have the fully traversable turret, but unfortunately, I fucked up. All I know now is that the T-28 Defender is reloading because it did not shoot me. I'm gonna try to get some sneaky shot over there, but it seems like the T-28 Defender really wants to get me, so I'm gonna have to pull back. Here we go, we sneak a shot, and thanks to our amazing mobility, we allowed to escape before he managed to sneak a shot. Of course, now I'm quite exposed, but luckily for me, the second fire of the game. Thanks for coming, and even if he didn't have the fire, with my amazing reload time, because I think the T-28 Defender reloads in 7.1 seconds between shells, here I would have been able to kill him with or without the fire. Here we go, a little bit of a mistake there, trying to poke on the Annihilator. Luckily for me, he managed to sneak only one, because if he managed to sink one more, I would have been dead by now. And now it's all about waiting for your team. That's where, when you are low HP, that's where the support playstyle of the tank is gonna hit. Simply because from there, right now, and another fire as you can see, right now it's impossible for me to take any more shots. I need to rely on my team to make my enemies shot before going around the corner, poking and sniping. That's what I did with the Annihilator. It worked perfectly, and now I want to play it sneaky. I don't want to go in, rush through, because I know the Challenger knows me and he's probably going to try to kill me. So instead of going in, I'm going to wait for the 3075 to kill the Challenger, and now I'm going in to get the Centurion. Unfortunately for me, he's going to die before I manage to get to him. But what is great about this tank, the mobility. As you can see, I work with my mobility on this tank, and that's why it's a specific playstyle. It's definitely not a tank that is made for everybody, because trust me, the Challenger is quite hard to master, but when you know how to play it, you will have amazing games such as the one I have here. Of course, I was helped by the RNG because I managed to put 3 guys on fire, which is actually the first time of my whole career that I managed to do that. But hey, sometimes you gotta push yourself to get the ace. Hope you enjoyed that video and that it will teach you that the Challenger is actually really worth it in the current meta, and I truly want you to test it, guys, and tell me by yourself if you like it. If you enjoyed that video, feel free to subscribe, like and share, and I'm gonna see you soon for a new one. Au revoir.